Welcome to the Shigeaki podcast, where we explore science-backed solutions for better aging, deeper sleep, and lasting energy, especially for those of us over 60. I'm Dr. Mark Hyman, functional medicine physician, and with me is my longtime friend and co-host, the wise and always insightful Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. Today's episode tackles a problem that quietly steals the health and peace of millions of older adults, waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall back asleep. Let me tell you about a patient of mine, Arthur. He's 76, walks daily, eats well, and goes to bed around 9:30 every night. But almost like clockwork, he jolts awake between 1 and 3 a.m., heart racing, slightly sweaty, and too alert to drift back to sleep. He told me, "Mark, I feel like my body's panicking while I sleep, and yet all the basic labs looked fine. So, what was going on?" After looking deeper, we found the real culprit wasn't age, caffeine, or even sleep apnea. It was something much sneakier. His cortisol was spiking at night, when it should have been low and steady.
That's such a common pattern, Mark. Cortisol is a natural hormone part of our daily rhythm. It's meant to wake us up in the morning, not disturb us in the middle of the night. But after age 70, that rhythm often begins to shift. If there's chronic inflammation, unrelieved stress, or even years of shallow sleep, the body may release cortisol at the wrong time. And that's what wakes people up, not noise, not dreams, but a hormonal surge that feels like anxiety even when the mind is calm.
Thankfully, there are gentle, research-backed ways to bring that cortisol back into balance. In today's episode, we'll walk you through 5 safe bedtime medications and natural compounds that help lower nighttime cortisol and support deep, uninterrupted sleep without heavy sedation. And they're all designed with older adults in mind, respecting how the body changes after 70. Used properly, they can restore your natural sleep cycle starting tonight. If that sounds like something you or someone you care about needs, stick around. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This episode could be the key to your first full night of sleep in years.
Let's begin our list with perhaps the most well-known sleep aid out there, but one that's often misunderstood and misused: melatonin. Most people think of it as a general sleep supplement, but its true power lies in how it helps reset your circadian rhythm and regulate cortisol patterns, especially in older adults. In truth, melatonin isn't a sedative like sleeping pills. It's a hormone your body naturally makes, telling your brain when it's time to rest. After age 70, though, your natural production drops significantly. That's when supplementation done carefully can really help.
Here's where most people get it wrong. They take too much. We're talking 3, 5, even 10 milligrams.
Yes, and it's not just about falling asleep faster. Melatonin works by acting on MT1 and MT2 receptors in the brain, which help regulate your internal clock, also known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This part of the brain controls not only sleep timing, but also the timing of cortisol release. When melatonin is used properly, it tells your body it's nighttime. Lower the stress hormones. Let's repair. And there's strong data behind that. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology in 2001 found that 0.3 gluts of melatonin reduced nighttime cortisol levels by 50% in older adults compared to a placebo.
At those doses, you might feel groggy in the morning or experience vivid dreams and even more cortisol disruption. The sweet spot for most older adults is actually much lower. Just 0.3 to 1 milligram. That's a powerful shift, especially considering how sensitive seniors are to cortisol. High cortisol at night is one of the biggest reasons for shallow sleep, early waking, and fatigue the next day.
For best results, take melatonin 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. Make sure to dim the lights, turn off screens, and avoid bright light exposure, which can block melatonin from doing its job. And remember that less is more. With melatonin, a little goes a long way. If you start low, you're more likely to restore your natural rhythm rather than override it. Up next, we'll talk about a natural herb that's been used for centuries but is now backed by modern science to help calm the body and blunt cortisol at its source. Stay tuned.
Let's move on to something that's been used for thousands of years in traditional Ayurvedic medicine, but is now getting serious attention in modern science: ashwagandha.
Yes, ashwagandha is what we call an adaptogen. That means it helps the body adapt to stress, whether it's physical, emotional, or metabolic. And for people over 70 whose cortisol patterns have become unpredictable, ashwagandha may be one of the gentlest, most effective natural supports out there. What makes it stand out is how it works upstream by targeting the HPA axis. That's the communication line between your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. When this axis is out of sync, usually due to chronic stress or inflammation, it can cause excess cortisol production, especially at night.
Yes, ashwagandha helps bring the HPA axis back into balance. And unlike sedatives that simply knock you out, this herb helps calm the internal stress response, which makes falling asleep and staying asleep much easier without grogginess the next day. But not all ashwagandha is created equal. If you're using it to support sleep and lower cortisol, it's important to choose a standardized extract, like KSM 66 or Sensoril. These versions are carefully formulated to contain the active compounds, called withanolides, at levels shown to work in clinical trials.
And speaking of clinical trials, there's one we really want to highlight. A 2019 study by Langade and colleagues looked at adults over 60 who took KSM 66 ashwagandha daily for 8 weeks. The results there: serum cortisol levels dropped by 27.9%, and they also reported significant improvements in sleep quality, reduced anxiety, and greater morning alertness.
That's impressive, especially since the participants didn't change their diet or lifestyle. Just one capsule of a targeted, standardized adaptogen helped rebalance their system from the inside out. For older adults, we typically recommend 125 to 250 milligrams taken about 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And again, choose a high-quality extract, preferably third-party tested for purity and potency. Another bonus: ashwagandha is non-habit forming. You can take it daily for several weeks, usually 6 to 12, to see full benefits, and then cycle off if needed, or continue with a maintenance dose.
If you've been waking up wired, restless, or with a racing heart, even though your mind feels calm, this may be your body's way of saying cortisol is too high. And ashwagandha might be exactly what brings that level back down. Coming up next, we'll explore a gentle amino acid found in green tea that helps relax the brain and stabilize nighttime hormones without sedation. Stay with us.
Now, let's turn our attention to something truly gentle, safe, and effective: L-theanine. It's an amino acid naturally found in green tea, and while it doesn't make you drowsy like melatonin or knock you out like sleeping pills, it plays a powerful role in preparing the brain for sleep, especially when cortisol is interfering.
That's right. What's remarkable about L-theanine is how it promotes relaxation without sedation. Many older adults tell me they don't necessarily struggle to fall asleep, but they wake up at 2 or 3 a.m., unable to return to rest. That's often a sign that cortisol is rising too early before the body is ready to be alert. And that's where L-theanine shines. It helps increase alpha brain waves, the kind your brain produces when you're calm but alert, like during meditation or deep breathing. At the same time, it supports GABA, a key neurotransmitter that helps quiet down overactive nerve activity, and it reduces sympathetic nervous system activity, which is the part of your brain that keeps you on edge. That balance between calming the body while keeping the mind clear is exactly what makes L-theanine perfect for nighttime use, especially in people over 70 who want deeper sleep without next-day grogginess.
Let's talk research. In a 2016 study by Hidez and colleagues, participants were given 200 milligrams of L-theanine every evening for 4 weeks. The results were striking. Participants reduced nighttime wakefulness, and even more impressively, their morning cortisol levels dropped by 18.7%, showing that the calming effect wasn't just subjective, it was biologically measurable. That's exactly what we want in a nighttime supplement, something that works with your body's rhythms, not against them. And L-theanine is incredibly safe. It's non-habit forming, has no known long-term side effects, and can be used either daily or occasionally when you need support.
For dosing, we typically recommend 100 to 200 milligrams, either 30 minutes before bedtime, or if you tend to wake up in the middle of the night, you can even take a low dose when you wake up to help calm the cortisol surge and guide you gently back to sleep. And unlike many herbal formulas or synthetic drugs, L-theanine is fast-acting. Most people feel the calming effect within 30 to 40 minutes. That makes it one of the few nighttime tools that can be used both preventively and responsively.
So, if you're looking for a simple, low-risk way to tame nighttime cortisol and feel more rested, L-theanine might be your new best friend. Up next, we'll talk about one of the most underrated minerals in sleep medicine and how it helps restore calm from the inside out. Stay with us.
Yeah, when it comes to calming the body and restoring deep restorative sleep, there's one essential nutrient that often gets overlooked: magnesium. And not just any magnesium, but specific forms that actually support brain chemistry and lower nighttime cortisol. Today, let's talk about two of the most effective types, are magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate. Magnesium plays a vital role in over 300 biochemical processes in the body. But for sleep, its most important job is helping the nervous system relax as we age, especially after 70. Magnesium levels often drop, which can lead to increased anxiety, muscle tension, and disrupted sleep patterns.
Exactly. Magnesium works by activating GABA receptors, which calm the brain and reduce the stress response. It also lowers the release of cortisol by soothing the central nervous system and signaling that it's safe to rest. Among the many forms of magnesium, glycinate is especially helpful for sleep. It's gentle on the stomach, well absorbed, and combines magnesium with glycine, an amino acid that also has natural calming effects. For seniors prone to digestive sensitivity, magnesium glycinate is often the safest choice. Now, for those wanting brain-specific benefits, there's magnesium threonate. This form has the unique ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, meaning it can raise magnesium levels directly inside the brain. That supports cognitive function, but also enhances REM sleep, which is the phase most responsible for emotional repair and memory consolidation.
Let's talk research. In a 2012 clinical trial by Whelan et al., older adults who took magnesium glycinate for 30 days not only reported better sleep, but their baseline cortisol levels dropped by 25%. That's a significant shift, especially for those struggling with sleep fragmentation or early morning waking.
For most older adults, the recommended dose is 200 to 300 milligrams per evening, taken after a light dinner. This helps with absorption and reduces the risk of loose stools, which can happen with other forms like citrate or oxide. And just a reminder that don't mix magnesium with high-dose calcium supplements at night. The two can compete for absorption and reduce the calming effect.
So whether you choose glycinate for general relaxation or threonate for brain-targeted support, magnesium is one of the most reliable tools to lower cortisol, support GABA, and promote true restorative sleep. If you've been waking up tired despite being in bed for 8 hours, this could be the missing piece. Coming up next is a lesser-known prescription option that at ultra-low doses helps you stay asleep all night without hangover effects. Stay with us.
Now, let's talk about one of the most promising prescription options for people over 70 who struggle with fragmented sleep and elevated nighttime cortisol: low-dose Doxepin. Doxepin is actually an older antidepressant, but at very low doses, it behaves differently. It's not used for mood here. It's used as a highly selective sleep aid, and it works beautifully in older adults when used properly.
What makes low-dose Doxepin so unique is its targeted action. It works by blocking histamine H1 receptors in the brain receptors that promote wakefulness. But unlike traditional sedatives, it doesn't touch acetylcholine pathways, which means it's far less likely to cause confusion or memory problems, a major concern in seniors. That's why this medication is often well tolerated in people over 65. It doesn't sedate you like a tranquilizer. Instead, it helps extend the depth and duration of sleep, particularly in the later part of the night when cortisol tends to spike and cause early waking.
And there's strong research to back this up. In a 2007 study by Crystal and colleagues, participants over age 65 were given 6 milligrams of Doxepin each night for several weeks. Results showed they gained an average of 27 more minutes of deep sleep, and their morning cortisol levels dropped by 22% compared to those taking a placebo.
That kind of impact is significant, especially for someone who's waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. and struggling to fall back asleep. Doxepin doesn't knock you out. It helps your body stay asleep, which is what many older adults actually need. We typically recommend a starting dose of 3 to 6 milligrams taken about 30 minutes before bedtime. It's important to take it on an empty stomach for best effect, and of course only under medical supervision. And don't confuse this low-dose sleep version with the high-dose antidepressant form. At higher doses, Doxepin acts very differently and can come with side effects. But in this tiny dose, it's been shown to be non-habit forming and generally well tolerated, even in patients over 75.
If you've already tried lifestyle changes, gentle supplements, and still wake up night after night, it might be time to talk to your doctor about whether ultra-low-dose Doxepin could be a safe next step. Coming up in the next section, we'll talk about how to combine these tools safely and how to build a nighttime routine that supports your sleep and protects your brain, heart, and energy the next day. Stay with us.
Now that we've talked about these 5 powerful options to lower nighttime cortisol and improve sleep, let's take a step back and talk about how to use them safely. Because here's the truth. Just because something works doesn't mean more is better. In fact, when you're over 70, it's often the opposite. The body becomes more sensitive. What you need is not a pile of pills, but the right support at the right time. The first thing I always tell my patients is, don't take all 5 at once. That's not how healing works. Instead, look at your specific sleep pattern. If you're someone who lies awake for hours struggling to fall asleep, then starting with a very low dose of melatonin may be all you need. But if your nights are filled with tension, restless thoughts, or stress from the day, something like ashwagandha or magnesium can help calm the body before bed in a much deeper way. And for those who fall asleep easily but wake up suddenly at 2 or 3 a.m. and just can't get back to sleep, that's when a low dose of Doxepin might be appropriate under a doctor's supervision.
And of course, Shigeaki, none of these will work their best without the right foundation. I always say to my patients, your nighttime begins in the afternoon. The choices you make in the hours leading up to sleep are what set the tone for your nervous system. If you're surrounded by bright screens and loud stimulation late into the night, your brain stays in alert mode. Cortisol doesn't drop, and no supplement can fully override that. What we've seen work consistently is creating a slow, intentional wind-down routine. That could be something as simple as dimming the lights after dinner, turning off all screens an hour before bed, or doing a few minutes of slow breathing or gentle meditation. A warm bath in the evening can also be incredibly helpful, especially for older adults, because it mimics the body's natural temperature drop needed to signal sleep. Even sipping something warm and calming, like chamomile tea or warm water with a pinch of turmeric, can quietly tell the body it's time to let go.
Yes, and one mistake I see often is snacking too late. It might seem harmless, but eating late, especially high-carb or sugary foods, can spike insulin, which in turn raises nighttime cortisol and completely disrupts your sleep cycle. That's why finishing dinner by 7:30 or 8 p.m. at the latest can make a real difference. And once you've made a few of these changes, track what happens. Not in a complicated way, just keep a little notebook by your bed. Jot down what time you went to sleep, whether you woke up, how long you were awake, and how you felt the next morning. That simple habit can help you and your doctor understand what's working and what needs adjusting.
And don't forget, if you ever feel overly groggy in the morning, have unusually vivid dreams, or notice any foggy thinking during the day, that's your body telling you something's off. It may mean the dose is too high, or you need to skip a night or two. That's okay. Healing is not about perfection. It's about learning to listen again.
Exactly. And when you combine the right sleep support with simple restorative habits, something shifts. your nervous system settles, cortisol quiets down, and for the first time in a long time, you sleep through the night, not because you forced it, but because your body remembered how to do it on its own. And that, to me, is the most beautiful part of aging well. Not more medication, just more alignment with what your body already knows, if we're willing to slow down and listen.
All right, as we get older, especially after 70, sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It becomes a foundation for everything else. Your memory, your mood, your balance, even your independence. One bad night becomes a foggy day, but night after night of poor sleep, that slowly chips away at your vitality. And often, the real culprit behind those 2 a.m. wake-ups, the racing heart, or the tension that won't let go, is cortisol. High nighttime cortisol is the silent enemy of deep, healing sleep. But the good news is, it's not untouchable. We have gentle, science-backed tools that help bring it back into balance.
And the key, my friend, is not to try everything at once. The path to better sleep isn't paved with force. It's guided by precision. Maybe you begin with a small dose of melatonin or try magnesium before bed. Maybe you just start turning off the TV 30 minutes earlier and practicing deep breathing. What matters most is that your approach matches your body's needs. No one-size-fits-all, no pressure to be perfect, just small, wise steps done consistently. And that's what we want for you. Not just more hours in bed, but real rest. The kind of sleep that helps your body repair, your brain recharge, and your spirit wake up calm and ready for a new day. So let this be your invitation. Pick one of the 5 tools we discussed today. Try it, journal it, reflect on how it makes you feel.
And remember, healing is a conversation between your body and your choices. Even one change tonight could lead to a better morning tomorrow. Have you tried any of the 5 bedtime tools we talked about today? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what worked for you. Remember to like, subscribe, and don't miss the next episode. See you.